Alright, Auto Sectors fam, we're back today. I'm working on a project that I haven't told you guys about. It's been in the works for a while, kind of before YouTube, and we've been tinkering with it. I may have mentioned it before, but I don't think so. What we got is we got a 72 Chevy C10 two-wheel drive short bed. Ray has been working on it in the past there. Basically, I bought a pickup that was really bad, and we used it for the frame and the bed. All the rest of the parts we got gathered up from around here. Right now the 72 Chevy is not important, but to give you a little backstory, we're putting it together with a big block Chevy 396 or 402. This one's a 402 because it's a 30 over 396, and turbo 400. It's got a 12 bolt 5-lug rear end under it. We got 82 Chevy front suspension under it. It's just gonna be a shop truck. It's not good enough to be a good show truck, and it's not bad enough to be like parts. So we're putting together something kind of fun. But basically, my dad's has a motor down at the shop in town, and he's been working on it. It's not a hot rod motor. It's just going to be like a 325 horse 396. Just a good reliable motor. It's kind of worn. We didn't do a lot of machine work to it or nothing crazy, and more or less I just wanted something that I could cruise around town in and have fun, not worry about it getting scratches or dings or whatever the hell it was going to be. And so I had this 396 or 402 that was in a Blazer that I ended up getting. It was a person I knew from school many years ago, but regardless. But I got this motor. I've had it rat-holed forever. Ray pulled the valve covers off, or changing valve covers, doing a few things, cleaning it up, and it was supposed to be a good running motor, but basically it had a broke lifter in it, had cam problems, so we decided to recam it. Well, in the process of that, we pulled bearing caps and realized that the bearings were pretty rough in it. They weren't bad, but they were definitely worn. So we ended up re-ringing, re-bearing, honing the cylinders, a handful of stuff, got a new cam for it. It's going to be just a good, reliable motor, something fun to just cruise around in, be a shop truck, I guess. So what we're dealing with today is we have been working on, oh yeah, look at my abomination of charging my Milwaukee batteries. When Milwaukee batteries get old, they don't charge with the Milwaukee charger. But if you hook them up to a 12-volt battery charger, which is like the battery tender over there, it will charge. And I found I can charge 2 of them at a time if I just, parallel them together. So that's what that abomination is right there. This one's not hooked up to nothing really. But my old Milwaukee batteries, I charge in that way. But it is what it is. It does work. But it's kind of interesting. But back to the Chevy truck stuff. Today we needed the front drive stuff, the water pump pulley, the crankshaft pulley, the alternator brackets. We're going to do a one-wire alternator on it, that sort of stuff, so we can put it on the run stand and make sure everything works right, break the motor in. Basically, we're getting it on the run stand. We're going to fire it up on a carburetor. We're going to break it in with a carburetor, and then we got some FI Tech fuel injection stuff that we're putting on it. We're going to put it on the run stand, tune it in, and then we'll take it off the run stand, put it in the truck, and then once it's in the truck, it'll already be pretty much set up. So that's kind of the plan. That's what we got going on the truck. And so today what we're doing is we are building this alternator into a one-wire. This is just a standard GM 10SI alternator, probably somewhere in the ballpark of 63 amps. It's a good used one. We're going to put a one-wire alternator kit in it, clean it up, paint it up, make it look pretty, because the rest of the motor and everything looks nice. And so my dad always builds really nice stuff, so when I take him this stuff, I would like it to be nice, or else he's going to take it apart and do it himself. So it's better if I do it. So that's what we're doing today, and we'll kind of walk you through what I'm doing as I'm doing it. So we I've got this 10 SI alternator here on the bench. Just a standard 82 Chevy alternator, nothing too exotic. What we're going to do is we're going to take this apart, we're going to get it cleaned up, bead blasted, that sort of deal. Probably paint it or clear coat it depending on what I feel like. And then we'll put it back together with the GM one wire kit, and then it'll be ready to go on the run stand, and we're going to put it in the truck because 72 Chevy truck had the early style alternator on it, I think. I don't know for sure. But this is what's going on, and it's going one wire, and it'll be simple and easy. So we've got 15/16, we're going to take off the pulley and the fan. It's usually a whole lot easier with a impact. We've got a lock washer and a nut. And the pulley comes off. This pulley's had a rough life, it's got a ding in it. A lot of times I would straighten that back out, but I have another pulley, it's already cleaned up, so this one's going to head to the garbage. Got a fan, and underneath here is a spacer. And depending on the fan, this is a skinny fan, it has a skinny spacer. You have a bigger fan, it's got a thicker spacer. So you got to make sure your spacers are the right ones for the fan. So now you can see, dump the dirt out of it. Got a little bit of inplay, but as you can see, you can look down inside it, see the windings, that sort of deal. We're gonna separate the back half of it off, and then when we put these back together too, I'll talk about it when we put it back together, but we got to make sure that this is timed right, because there's a spacer that goes here and bolts here for the Chevy stuff, and if it's not oriented right, clocked wrong, then you won't be able to bolt that spacer in to the back of the alternator like you're supposed to, and just kind of free float. So a lot of builders and everybody doesn't pay too much attention to that, but it's something worth noting if you're going to do it right. Also, one other thing worth noting is I'm not an alternator rebuilder guy. I've had a bunch of them apart in my life, and I've done it, I do it. I don't know what's wrong or right, but that's what I do. So basically, here's what we got. We got the front housing, and you can see the bearing retainers right here. And so we'll take these bolts out, we'll get that bearing out of there. You can feel this bearing's pretty rough. I do have new bearings and stuff in the kit that I got as well. There's the armature. It looks pretty good. It's not really grooved up right here. We'll just clean this up, polish it a little bit. The rest of it looks really good. I don't see nothing too bad wrong with it. So we'll clean it up, put it back in there. So now we got our windings and the brushes, the brush holders. The brushes were worn out on this, and I'm going to get the windings off. We got to take these nuts right here off, where you can see the wires that go to the windings back up in here. And then we can pull the windings out. And we want to do that without bending these wires up too much so it goes back together nicely. So after a bunch of looking, I ended up settling on a 9mm because 3/8 was just too big, 8mm was too small, 5/16 is too small. So as you can see right here, we got the wires coming from the windings that bolt into the alternator there. So we'll be careful, try not to beat them up, dent them up, bend them and stuff like that, because they're better that way. So now you can see down into the alternator, the brushes and brush holder. You can see the brushes are about as gone as they could get. There's your diode and a handful of other magical stuff that goes on in there. We'll pull it out because we're going to sandblast this, or glass bead it. Alright guys, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take the front half and back half of the housing, we're going to put it in a coarse sandblasting, and we're going to knock all the big stuff off of it, and then we'll go to this glass beater and use glass beads to make it really nice after that. What we got is a Zero brand sandblast. My dad's had this thing for many years. I liked it so much that when I come across another one that was for sale from the University of Wyoming, I went and bought it too. So what we do, we put them in the cabinet here, and usually you want to put it where you can reach it with the gloves. You don't get too crazy about it. Shut the door, and then we turn it on. So I didn't clean any of the grease off, and it won't really pull the grease very well, but we're just doing a really rough clean with it right now. As you can see, anything that's hard comes off really fast. Anything that's soft, it just absorbs the impact of the sand, and you can hammer on it and get it to come off, but there's really not much point. It's easier just to clean it, put it back in here. This machine's, we've got it set up really well. It's tuned in really good, so it works very fast. So we got done with the glass blasting, or glass bead blasting. It uses round glass beads, and as you can see, the finish on it is a lot finer. It looks like a rebuilt, what you get from an auto parts store. But what we're going to do is we're going to protect it with some paint, because this will absorb water and oil and get stained and that whole deal. So if we paint it and we do it well, then it will not absorb that stuff. We're only going to do the outside. We aren't going to worry about the inside at all, because it really doesn't matter. But we're going to paint the outside of this, and the closest thing I've found to an actual, aluminum of this color is a satin stainless steel. The aluminum paint is really just fake looking. It looks like chrome kinda, so I don't like it. So we've decided we go with stainless, like a matte stainless steel or whatever. What I'll do is I'll flip this over, I'll hit the spots that are going to be underneath, and then we'll flip it back over and then paint the outside. And this doesn't really have any spots that are going to be underneath. And then the windings, I also tape them off. I hit this area very lightly with the glass bead. It doesn't take off the insulation unless you really hammer it. So we just kept it a distance, just enough to knock the rust off and give it a good area to adhere to with the paint. And we're just going to paint this ring right here just because you can see it. And I usually do it like in a black or something like that. And I'll probably end up doing satin black or a semi-gloss black is what it is. So what I've got here is just a Rust-Oleum matte stainless steel. And I like the finish because it's closer to the aluminum than the aluminum color is. Alright, got that painted up. I'll round up all the rest of the parts we're going to need for the assembly on this, and we'll get them over here and go from there. So we're back here. We got the satin stainless steel. It came out really good. It's got a little bit of a gold tinge to it, but it looks a lot more like aluminum than the aluminum paint does, so I like it. It's pretty much dry. Here, the Rust-Oleum satin black is still just a little bit tacky, but I think we can start putting this thing together. I hit the armature with some emery cloth. It does have some wear in this part of it. I don't think it's really going to be enough to really worry or make us have to worry about it for this truck, but it does have a little wear. You can see the difference in color right there, but I just hit the high spots with the emery cloth, and it looks pretty good. Cycles fam, we're back here. I'm just doing a little recap on this alternator video. I just sped up the reassembly because there really wasn't much worth watching. I kind of talked about it when we took it apart. Got it all back together. We took it down to the shop. It's going to go on the engine for the run stand on the break-in. And so, you know, it's just kind of a quick video to show a little bit, you kind of familiarize yourself a little bit, but there's not that magic inside an alternator. And as long as if you need to, take some pictures or whatever so you can get it all back together, it's not a big deal. And I think the biggest hurdle is just having the guts to attack it. So, I guess until the next video, thanks for watching.